Rick, Luke and I have been watching these storms here through the evening, and we've seen an uptick in our thunderstorms, which means we've had to ratchet things up a little bit, and now the concern is that we may get a tornado. We do have ground spotters that just told us out of Bedford, Indiana, that there was some hail that moved through, and the rotation right after it left Bedford started to ramp upward. So what I want to show you as we start off this, and we've got a tornado warning now until 8:45, so we're going to be with you for around 30 minutes, or we would cut it if the area of rotation leaves our viewing area. So Crawford County under a severe thunderstorm warning, Orange County severe thunderstorm warning, Lawrence-Jackson County severe thunderstorm warning, tornado watch including Louisville until midnight, severe thunderstorm watch for Lawrence, Jackson, Jennings, and Carroll County until 1 a.m. Now I'm going to take you over to Storm View HD so we can get a larger view on what's going on, and Rick's going to be focused on the close view. So let me take you on a tour. We'll end with the tornado warning because that's where we're going to spend a lot of our time. So we start off Santa Claus, Indiana. We've got a line of thunderstorms that is moving through the Huntingburg area. That line of storms right now is racing off to the east at around 60 miles an hour. So Hall 8 minutes from now, English 21 minutes from now, Southeast 25, and Palmyra, that's around 23 minutes from now. Main threat on this portion of the storm, let me show you the warning that's in front. You can see the warning in back has tornado possible, but I want to focus on that storm in front. Crawford, Du Bois, orange, 0.75 hail, which is about peas. 60-mile-an-hour winds. The severe thunderstorm for Paoli, and that's really very, very close to Orleans. Unfortunately, that just got hit. You'll notice that this particular storm has the tag tornado possible. So we need to be really careful for that storm. Specifically, again, near Orleans, just north of French Lick, through the West Baden area. And I'm going to look at the cameras in that area to see what we're viewing, because there are cameras in that area. But Orangeville, Orleans, be careful. Then our tornado warned storm. So this is interesting because there are two areas of rotation, one near Mitchell, and then we have on the northern side of that storm where we have the tornado warning. And so briefly, I'm going to go over, and you'll note the tornado warning is till 8:45, and I'm going to take that one out so I can try to focus on the Lawrence-Jackson County. That one has tornado possible. So be aware. Tornado possible coming out of Michigan through Mitchell through Buda, heading towards Bono, Driftwood, and then we have the tornado warning right now, and I'll show you inside that storm briefly, just north of Norman, Indiana. That's where we're watching. That storm's heading towards the northern part of Lawrence County. Rick, you've been eyeballing this really closely. When this storm came through Bedford, I heard kind of an audible oof on that. And you were kind of starting to see maybe this is starting to ratchet up. Maybe we're going to get a tornado warning out of this one. And that really is the strongest storm in our area.
It absolutely is. Each scan, we're getting scans every minute or so.
Okay.
And I saw with each scan, stronger and stronger velocities, which is how we sample the winds. And before you knew it, pop, we had a tornado warning.
Okay.
So there's definitely rotation with inside these storms, and they are ripping. I mean, they're moving 50, 60 miles per hour off to the north and east, so you have to react quickly. That's really the take-home message. But yes, if you are inside this tornado warning, which includes Norman, Kurtz, Bald Knobs, this is County Road 111 north, and then Spraytown, but in particular Norman, I would urge you immediately, you need to head to your safe place. We're looking at Storm View 3D, and this gives us a really good advantage because we can look at this storm in so many different layers. Right now it's reflectivity, which you typically see when you show radar. But Mark, I'm going to switch over now to the base velocity, which samples the winds. And this is what we talked about. A couple different areas of rotation, really not one consolidated area, but this thing definitely has quite a bit of spin. I can also show you another product, which is known as normalized rotation. And this takes away the clutter and shows you where we have the highest shear. And that is definitely right between Kurtz and Heddleville, and that's moving into the Norman area. So Zelma, Norman, if anyone could see a tornado, Norman right now is at the top the tip top of the list. So let's go back over to base velocity. And Mark, like you said, I mean, this thing, it's not just one area of rotation. There are several.
Right.
So inside that warning, you need to be careful.
And Rick, what I'd like to do is, I just want to go through an exercise on that storm. Let's go 2-panel, and I want to look if we're seeing any debris being lofted. So Rick is going to take us into what we refer to as 2-panel. What we're going to do is analyze. So this is our tornado warning right now. Here is the Kurtz area. There's Heltonville. Our area of rotation is here. What we notice is the core of the storm, the hail core is on the northern edge of that. That goes through the far northwestern part of Jackson County. Now, as you start to move south, you see this hook on here. What does that really mean? Well, that means that the updraft of the thunderstorm is pulling rain around the backside. Why would it be doing that? It's doing it because it's rotating. So this is where we're watching for that tornado. And what you can see is, as Rick alluded to, sometimes what we'll see is the red and greens on top of each other. But see, there are 2 areas where we might be seeing rotation. So Rick, let's look at this specific area and see, do we have anything in there that could be debris, number 1, and make sure we're not looking at something that could be A, hail, or B, is just not even in a high reflectivity area. So what we have to look at is where Rick put that dot. Is there any debris there? This is a little bit of a hail pop here. It's not conclusive, but there could be something getting lofted. And then in here, this is kind of more of the hail core that you're seeing. So I would say inconclusive right now in terms of whether it's a tornado warning or something that could be touching down. It's the type of scenario where it can happen with little or zero advance notice. Rick, I want to go over to Storm View HD so we can quickly do a storm track, and then I just want to let the control room know if we could put Seymour camera on standby, because I want to show that if it's possible after this. So Rick's going to give us a track on where the storm is. One of the things you'll notice, by the way, when we do tornado warnings, we don't use that fan because we don't want to track the whole storm. We only want to track the part of the storm where a tornado could be occurring. That's why Rick's using that particular one. We see sometimes where people track the whole storm, it's like, it's a tornado warning. You need to know where the tornado could be. So in the Bald Knobs area, you're talking about 7 minutes from now. That would be 8:28. It'll be in the Becks Grove area 12 minutes from now, and then in the Mount Healthy area 15 minutes. When we had our tornado that hit Orleans last week, our Richard Essex was out there, and he went to one of these areas where a house was damaged really badly, and what we saw is all the walls were damaged. But in the middle, you could see that there was the middle room where the walls were completely upright, and it goes to show you that even when you get a tornado, if you're in the interior room, it's the safest place. So interior room, center part of your house, I want you to keep away from windows. And if you have a basement, obviously this is a good choice. New radar scan update coming in. Rick, I'll come to that in a moment. I do want to take a look off our Seymour camera, if we could, behind me. So reference point, this is to the west-northwest, and this is going to give us the ability to see what's underneath that storm. So what we're going to time here is the lightning strikes and look underneath it. I can tell you, just like you, Rick's looking at this, and everybody in the studio trying to get a view under that to see if there's any tornado. What I'm seeing is what looks like a little base here that's out ahead. That may be from the RFD, which would be winds blowing out ahead of the storm. What I'm looking for is a lowering in either of these areas right here that are getting illuminated by lightning to see if there could be a tornado occurring that our camera is going to be able to view. This is the beauty of having a camera network in our area. We always say this, but we've got live eyes on the storm at all times. I don't see anything right now, Rick. Let's go back over to Storm View 3D. You're getting a new scan in, Rick. Tell me what you're seeing. Has the rotation come up? The lightning is vivid on this storm. Has that rotation consolidated? Are we talking 2? Has it come up?
It's consolidating into 1.
Okay,
and the
that's a
rotation
problem.
It's a problem. It's getting stronger. You can see some of the orange gates showing up, indicating stronger winds. Just got a new update in. And Mark, I'm going to go over to correlation coefficient. Okay. So right on top of the area of rotation.
Okay, so that's north of Kurtz.
Right. This would tell us whether or not we have debris being lofted in the air. Kind of a muddy picture right now. There's certainly the possibility. So if you are in Kurtz, you need to go to your safe place immediately. I'm going to go back over through, this is the storm relative. I mean, that's some That's decent rotation.
Yeah, I mean, when you have the red and green almost on top of each other, like Rick is showing there, that is more concerning. So, you know, if it's me, Rick, if it's my family and I'm north of Kurtz, I'm not playing around.
Right.
I believe this could produce a tornado at any moment, and I would be in my safe spot. I just don't think there's a plus.
Nothing. I mean, it's 10 minutes of your day, just go for it.
And it's concerning. The other point then of this is it's approaching I-65. So eventually this will cross I-65. And right now it's getting close to Indiana 135. So I'm going to take you back over to our other one. Indiana 135 north of Pershing, we've got to use some real caution if we're attempting to drive that area. It's not a safe time to be going there. It is going right over Pershing, right over Kurtz, Spraytown, Bald Knob. This is the northern part of Jackson County that we're watching extremely closely. Of additional concern is that storm that's going through Buda right now. This one is showing an uptick in terms of its rotation as well. That one is in Lawrence County. The data has indicated over and over that this area is an area we need to be a little bit more concerned about for tornadoes. So specifically, if I'm going to tell you my counties where I'm most worried about a tornado occurring, I'm going to tell you if I'm in Jackson County, I'm concerned. If I'm in Lawrence County, I've got concerns. If I'm in Orange County, I've got concerns. I would also say English. Salem, I would be concerned. In Louisville, I think the chance of tornado comes down some, but now we're starting to see these warnings extending all out ahead of that line. So this is now escalating where we've got a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings over a lot of our area. So you can see on the bottom what we've got there is our Seymour camera that's going to give us eyes on that storm. And I want to take a look at these latest warnings. The severe that just came out for Breckenridge, Meade, and Perry is in effect until 8 p.m. This one doesn't show tornado possible. Okay. That's a positive. Yeah. Something Rick and I have talked about is that as you get a little bit further south, we believe that tornado potential comes down a little bit. We believe that it's a little bit higher as we go our northwestern and northern counties.
Which is closer to the upper level low where there's a lot more spin and twirl in the atmosphere.
You're getting just a little bit more of the turning. You know, we said this earlier, but I'm grateful that we don't have really, really high fuel, or this would be a tornado outbreak, because the wind energy is quite favorable. Severe thunderstorm warning with tornado possible continues through 8:30. This one's for Du Bois and Orange. I'm just going to force this into the Crawford, Du Bois, Orange County warning, 60-mile-an-hour winds, 3/4 inch hail. I'm going to go back up to the north where we've got our tornado warning. This is until 8:45. Rick's again monitoring this in StormView 3D. So what we have here is always the ability to look at these with multiple products. Let me just quickly look at a Seymour again. It is our live eyes on this storm. Again, looking at it, so the tornado warned storm is on the right there. I'm going to make sure, again, this is beautiful. We love that we can actually control these cameras inside our weather center. So the core where if there was a tornado, I'm going to center up. And the reason I'm going to do that is I want to see underneath there with my eyes. We're on top Schneck Medical, so we've got a bird's eye view. Are we seeing a tornado touching down? Are we seeing a lowering? Is something coming down there? You can see that persistent lightning strike, which I believe is coming out of the hail core, but it has been very interesting to watch. Rick, I'm coming back to you on StormView 3D. This is what we call that normalized rotation product. You're looking in here, not kind of the reds and the greens next to each other. You're kind of creating the cake.
Right.
This is the cake already put together. Yep. And now you're saying, am I seeing a tornado, and where would I see the strongest rotation?
Right. Well, we kind of have almost two cakes if you look at it on the right-hand side of your TV screen, where there are two of those pockets of green. And our motto is green means go, which means if you see that amount of rotation, you should react and you should go down into your basement if you have it, if not an interior room. But so showing two areas of distinct rotation.
Still that two kind of tier thing.
That two tier. And what I'm going to do is flip over the correlation coefficient. Okay. So you can see it looks like if the northern one would be, but it's close. It's very close, and it looks like it's starting to surge out.
I think either way, I think you're talking about a storm that's probably doing some wind damage at minimum, because the fact that that arcs around like that would probably show maybe some leaves are being lofted, and the other thing is it's moving so fast that some of that could be getting shunted and pulled back a little bit as the storm races along. It's still definitely rotating. How about the greens versus the reds? Is it show that intense?
I mean, still
some of those orange pixels in there are 80s. Those are some high Is that not, what are those knots?
Those are 70 knots, which would
so about 80 miles
about
an
80
hour.
miles an hour, which is destructive.
So we're talking rotation here in this thunderstorm that's in the 80, 90 mile an hour range. So, you know, if this was to produce a tornado, you'd be talking EF0, EF1 most likely. Is there a difference between that and 80 mile an hour winds? I mean, that's the point here.
Right.
If you're like, well, Mark, you know, if it's not a tornado, I don't need to take it seriously. No. I mean, this thing's probably producing 70 mile an hour winds at minimum, so take it seriously.
People, I feel like sometimes you hear tornado, and that really makes you get nervous and react. You hear straight line linear winds, and you don't. But they can do the same exact damage. You can see it?
We've got the funnel. So watch just to the right of the tower there. You're going to see a leftward angled funnel when we get the right lighting. It's right to the left of where the lightning strikes. There it is. So I'm going to go over to the weather wall, and I'm going to show you where we're seeing. That's definitely the updraft base of this storm, and it does appear that it has a funnel on it. So I'm going to show you the location that I'm watching. Right in here is where we're going to look. There you can see it. Did you see it there, Rick?
I saw it. Right.
So right here, here's where we have lightning that's coming out of the hail core. The updraft base is right here. So we're going to look when we get the right lightning strike to be illuminated in that area. And there it is. You just saw it again. The updraft base. There it is. Did you see the finger? So that is a funnel cloud right there on that storm. We know based on where we're looking, we know the geographical location that we're looking at, we know what we have on radar. That is definitely the funnel right here. Again, wait for the right lightning strike, not out of the hail core over here. When you get the right light, there it is again. You can definitely see that, Rick. It does have a funnel on there. It doesn't look like the funnel goes down to the ground, but you know, like I know, a lot of times when you see a funnel, the condensation funnel, what you visually see does not have to be touching the ground for a tornado to be doing damage. I think we kind of have that in our head, but what you're seeing on StormView 3D really matches well what we're seeing on our camera.
Absolutely. To have both of those is a vital tool. To have radar confirmed with actual live cameras that we have now coming out of Seymour on top of Schneck Medical. I mean, to see that funnel coming down.
Yeah, if we could go $3 on that with Schneck.
Yeah, we should keep an eye on that. So I'm also, as always, analyzing here the rotation, looking at reflectivity, and we're getting a new update in 20 seconds. What I want to do, Mark, is kind of rock back.
And it should be worth, I should note that the tornado warning was allowed to expire on this. So they're going severe with tornado possible. My concern is I'm not going to let this go until it gets out of county. The rotation's too much. Our camera's showing a funnel cloud on it. It's not worth letting it go. So we're going to stay with it for probably another 10 to 12 minutes. And we will always do the check on everything else. And Rick will get new updates here momentarily. There's multiple areas of rotation. And Rick, whether this is tornado warning or severe with tornado possible, the commonality in this is the word tornado.
Tornado.
So
Just
you take it seriously.
the same exact way. I mean, that's the advice. So there's the tornado warning. So I rock back. You can see how we really had a couple areas of rotation, kind of tried to consolidate a little bit, and now it's starting to spread, but it's still strong.
I know.
So there's really no reason, to not stay with this one, Mark. You're absolutely right about that. We still have a couple areas of rotation. I want to look at normalized because that also, again, shows that two-prong sort of scenario where you have two distinct areas of rotation. Another product I can just keep on here is correlation coefficient. So I'm not seeing anything inside that rotation that would suggest we have a tornado on the ground doing damage.
That's good.
Deep breath. That's a good thing.
So let me take it back over to StormView HD, and I'm going to head over to the wall for a moment. Let's do a tour, and I'm just going to take you out to the wide perspective so that we can kind of get a sense of everything that's occurring and talk about what this means. So I'm going to bail here, head over to the weather wall real quickly, and we're going to go through each warning. We're going to talk about what the warnings are, what they mean, and what this means for Louisville. I will tell you that I'm going to stay with this for about another 5 minutes, only because I want that rotation to get out of our area. Once I feel it's out, and I feel that I can say that we're talking severe and not tornado warning, will allow it to go back to programming. But it's just, I'll tell you this much. In the end of all of this, we do what we do. My food's sitting over there, not eating dinner, not complaining. But know that if we don't have to be on TV, we don't want to be on TV. I'm grateful in this instance that there's not any basketball or sports on, because I know that would make people more uneasy. Rick, we'll come back to these areas, or actually let's start with the areas of rotation. Pershing, Indiana. So this is where our area of rotation is. Be aware that this is going to cross I-65 north of Reading, Indiana, near around the Jonesville area. That area of rotation is just south of the Becks Grove area, and we're going to track not the whole core. We're going to track that area rotation because we know the rotation could produce a tornado. It's not far from getting out of our area. When it does in the next 4 to 5 minutes, I just want to let production know we would immediately go back over to programming, and I might do a Facebook Live video. If you follow me on Facebook, you'll get an alert. But we may go over there and do some coverage over there. So if you have your choice. I mean, in the end of all this, we've got a lot of different methods to communicate. 9 minutes from now in the Mount Healthy area, Rossstown 19 minutes from now. Severe thunderstorm warning. What does this mean for Seymour? Severe thunderstorm warning right now just banks up to the western side of Seymour, but that storm that's near Owen right now has and still is showing some excuse me, some rotation near the Weddellville area. And this would ultimately go towards Brownstown and Seymour. The insanity of all of this is this exact area I was on TV on for Friday night into Saturday morning monitoring. Rotation. So when we look at this, remember the radar is coming in this area, so we would want to see red and green right here stacked. It doesn't look like as much of that, so this may be what we refer to as outflow dominated or rear flank downdraft. Rear flank what? It means straight line winds. We'd be more concerned about straight line winds. So 60, 65 mile an hour winds over the Weddellville area right now. Brownstown, let's do a fan track on this one, Rick, rather than the tight one.
Hey, Mark, I want to go back to, just quickly, go back to Stormview
Absolutely.
HD.
For that storm near Weddellville?
No, for that top one that's moving out of Jackson County.
Okay, oh, see, I'm shocked. You know, that doesn't have a tornado warning on that one. Can we go back to the Seymour camera just briefly? I want to see what we've got on that. That rotation area right now is just north of Freetown. And this is going to be from our camera on Seymour. So remember, the rotation was over here. If it exists, it's going to be a little bit further north now. It would be right in this area here. So there it is. There's the updraft base. You can see the wall cloud right in this area. And what you have to wait for is the right lightning strike, because when it's front illuminated, you can't see it. When it's back illuminated, you can. So you wait, you look. But that area rotation right now is just north-northwest out of the Seymour area. And there it is. You could actually see it again right in this area, right in here. It does appear that maybe it had a tail funnel on it. It does still have the tail funnel right on this edge here. When storms are back-to-back like we have here, generally it becomes a little bit harder for them to tornado, but in terms of a longer, but they can drop one really quickly. Rick, let's go back over now to Stormview HD here. So we'll continue to watch that. It's about to pop out of Jackson County. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a track down everything, and then we'll finish in Jackson County to make sure that gets out. Severe thunderstorms right now heading towards the Seymour area. Medora 5 minutes from now, Cortland 20 minutes from now, and Seymour 32 minutes from now. So Seymour, you've got lightning going crazy all around your area, but this one that has a hail core is about 25 to 30 minutes from you. I'm not going to ignore you right now in Salem, because I know a lot of people in Washington County are like, what about me, Mark? What about me? And I know how this is, because I have family here too, and if there's a thunderstorm heading towards you know, all of our houses, we want to know obviously the same that you do. So Paoli, I hate to say it, but once again, you're under the gun for 60 mile an hour winds. You have had a rough go of it out of Orleans, West Baden, through French Lick, and over the last week or so. So we've got in Syria, Indiana, 5 minutes from now. This will be in Northeast, which is in Orange County, in 11 minutes. Campbellsburg, Indiana, which is in Washington County, 23, and then the Prowsville area, around 30 minutes. So Salem, it's about 25 minutes or so from your area. Concern now, we've got a hail core on this one, and this one is looking nasty. Hail core right now just north of Indiana, 37. This one, so it looks like this one showing the hail core is going to go just north of English, or maybe over English. This one may be producing quarter to golf ball size hail. When you have winds that change direction and height, it kind of changes the game, where a storm that you would think can't produce large hail can. So this is the rotation on there. I'm not seeing anything right now that screams concern. But it definitely is showing a surge on that, and I just saw an update to that warning. But we're definitely getting a surge right now in the Eckerty area, where this is at least a rear flank downdraft or an area of stronger winds that is heading towards English and Grantsburg. And Rick, did you notice this? You
Lightning out ahead of it.
Yes.
Bolt out of the blue, but it's not blue.
So here's the thing. you're not in the storm in English, and a lightning strike just came out of the core and went about 6 miles off to the east. It's why we say sometimes be careful around storms. It may not even be raining, but you can still get struck by lightning. Let's go further off to the south here. The storms that would be on a trajectory to get towards Louisville.
Ooh, look at that backwards sea.
Yeah, so we've got right here a bow that's occurring near the Tell City area. This one coming towards Derby, towards Ammons, and towards the Andyville area. Rick's going to track that one as well. Off to the east at around 50-ish or so. The storms are really moving. Tell City 4 minutes from now, Leopold 15, Derby 22 minutes, and then 29 minutes in Alton. Rick, let's finish this up on the southern part of our area and take a look at those storms, because those would be on a better trajectory to get towards Louisville. And you could see these storms are struggling a little bit more near Owensboro. I'm glad to say that after you saw some golf ball to baseball size hail. Rick, let's do one last update. What are you seeing now on the storm out of Jackson County? Are we concerned it's still in Jackson County? And what does that rotation look like? As I'm going to come over to Storm View 3D.
Sure. The rotation is bad. I mean, this is actually the strongest rotation we've seen.
Okay.
Also, keep in mind, we are looking about 7,000 feet almost up into the storm. So the rotation in the higher portion of the storm will be stronger, but it is now out of Jackson County.
And it's buried too. You'll notice on the left.
Completely rain wrapped.
So you know, I say this, sometimes people will go outside when they have a tornado warning because they want to see it. But trust me when I say this, it's going to be tough to see. We've got a camera that's on top of Schneck Medical, a few hundred feet in the air, and we're still struggling to see it. So just understand it's going to be tough to see. But it would be fair to say that that rotation is now out of our viewing area. So I'm going to take you back to the wider perspective. We've got severe thunderstorm warnings from Jackson, Washington, Orange, Crawford, Harrison, Meade, and Breckinridge County. All of these storms showing some rotation, but the northwest and northern part of our area is where we have the greatest threat. We do not have tornado warnings on these storms right now. We're going to continue to keep a very close eye on these. The strongest storm has left our area. I'm shocked still, though north of our area doesn't have a tornado warning, but the reality is it doesn't right now. That would be my biggest concern, just north of Jackson County, near the Columbus, Indiana area. We're going to continue to monitor these storms.
There it goes.
There's the tornado warning, which isn't our viewing area, but wow. So let me just make sure that that tornado warning is not our area. Before we return you back to program, I don't believe it can be. They were very deliberate in making sure that it does not touch Jackson and it does not touch Jennings County. But that storm is showing significant rotation and possibly even a signature that it might have some debris on it. So that storm is quite dangerous right now. We're going to continue to watch these storms very, very closely. If we feel the risk of a tornado within our area steps back up, we'll come back into programming. If not, we may do a Facebook Live in about 20 minutes. If you don't follow me, remember it's Mark Weinberg, Mark with a C. I'm on Facebook, and we may do a live just kind of updating on where those storms are. We'll have a full update no matter how you look at it on WDRB News at 10, WDRB News at 11. Keep it right here on WDRB for continuing weather updates.